Hey, thanks for showing up at the Board Game Network here. I'm going to be showing you how to play this game called Bloodborne. It is a card game. It is put out by Cool Mini or Not, designed by Eric M. Lang. Plays 3 to 5 players in about 30 to 60 minutes. And it is based on the PlayStation game of the same name. You're going to take a player mat. You are going to take one of each kind of token here. You are going to take one of each card that says starter. There's 5 different starter cards. Everybody takes one of each. All of the rest of them that say starter card are out of the game. You are going to take the monster cards, which have this back. You are going to take all of the boss ones and separate them. They say boss down here. And then the ones that don't say boss, you're going to separate those. You mix up the non-boss ones. You deal out 7. You're going to take the boss ones, mix those up, deal out 3. Then you're going to mix the boss ones and the non-boss ones together. And that's your monster deck. You are going to either pick a final boss, or you are going to randomly draw a final boss. And they all affect the game throughout the whole game. So they give you some kind of benefit or detriment or something that happens throughout the game. So let's just pick the Vicar Amelia. It says maximum health is 6. Normally you're going to start at 8 on your dial for your health. This says you can't go up above 6, so you're starting at 6. You're shuffling this deck here, dealing up the number that you have players for. So I've got, as if we're playing 4 players here. This is the strength of this monster. It's got 12, but we're not fighting that yet. It's when we get all the way through this deck that we fight the final boss. So we flip up the top card, and this one has 7 wounds, so you put 7 blood tokens on here. And this is the color of dice that it rolls to wound the players. So this is a yellow one. Green is actually the smallest, then yellow is the middle, and then red is the biggest numbers. And this is the reward that this card gives. If you wound this creature in the turn that it dies, you get this reward. And so that moves your token over 1 space over. And your goal is to get the most number of points at the end of the game, and so that is accumulated by the number of blood echoes that you get. So when you wound a creature, you take a blood echo from it and put it up here in the collected blood echoes based on the number of wounds you do, 1 for each. And if you bank the blood echoes, then they come down here, and that protects you from, if you die, you actually come back again. But these ones go away, and these ones you keep. So your final score is based on blood echoes in both spaces, plus this number of points here for the rewards. And you'll notice it goes 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8. So it's definitely good if you get the number of rewards for each one up to the maximum. So here's your reference right here. Choose and play action cards. And so everybody takes and draws a card from their hand and puts it face down and then flips it up. And they tell you down in the bottom whether it's a melee or a ranged weapon. Red is melee, blue is ranged. And that really doesn't have much effect, except for, as a general rule, the ranged is a weaker card, but it usually has some kind of effect on it. So after you've chosen, you play transform weapons. So you have a card that says transform here, and it says after seeing all hunters revealed cards, choose a melee or ranged weapon from your hand and reveal it. So this lets you see what everybody else is playing before you choose what you're going to play as far as a weapon. And it has to be a weapon, and you have to do that. You cannot choose something else besides a weapon after you've done the transform. And if more than one player plays transform, it's just going to be in player turn order as far as who replaces. You resolve instant effects. There are no instant effects on here, but let's say if I played the Hunter Pistol, it's got an instant effect. It says, if you are the only hunter to play Hunter Pistol, inflict damage immediately instead of in the Hunter attack step. So this lets you do damage before the other players. And why might you want to do that? Well, if this creature only has 1 damage on it, or like the boss monsters, they stay out until they're dead. The normal monsters, if they're not dead in 1 round, they escape and disappear, and then you flip the next card up. Boss ones stay out, and if there's 1 damage on it left, you can maybe play the Hunter Pistol and do the kill on it, and nobody else gets points for it. So that's an instant effect. Monster attack, and if there's more than 1 instant effect, if it doesn't tell you what order to do it in, you're going to do it in player order. Monster attacks, so the monster actually does, this one does you yellow, so you roll the die, and that's 1, so every player would take 1 damage. Now there are these pluses on the die, and the plus means roll it again and accumulate. So if I would roll a 2, then I would roll again, and 2 plus 1 is 3. And sometimes you can accumulate quite a bit of wounds by doing that. And then the hunter attacks, and so then any of the other regular melee or ranged weapons will attack. This one would have attacked before any of the other wounds and before the monster went, because of the order of play for the instant effects. So then you come in here and do the other wounds, and if I would have played the Hunter's Axe, I would do 2 damage to it, and then it goes around in clockwise order. People take off. So you may have played a weapon out, but maybe all of the blood tokens are gone before it's your turn, and so you don't get to do any damage on the monster, which means you don't get a reward for it. Only those who do damage to the creature in the turn that it dies get this reward. Hunter attacks, and then the monster escapes. If the monster is not dead, it leaves play, and then the next one gets flipped up, as long as it's not a boss monster. And then the Hunter's Dream happens. Hunter's Dream is this card here, and it says any damage you take this round is halved round down. So in the case of, let's say you rolled a 2, rolled a 3, then everybody would take 3 points, but anybody who played Hunter's Dream would only take 1 point because it's halved, rounded down. And then you bank your collected blood, so any blood up here goes down here, and you reclaim all your used action cards. So while you're playing these, you do not pick them back up and play them again. You simply put them in a discard pile, and so eventually you run out of options. So eventually you're going to play the Hunter's Dream and pick up your hand again, but you're not going to do any wounds to a creature in that round. And then you says rest to full health. So that also puts you back up to full health, which in this case is going to be 6 because of the Vicar being out. And then it says reveal the next monster. So that one's gone. You're going to flip up the next one, and you're going to continue to do this. And if you die in your sometime in your round, then you are not going to you're not going to do damage to the creature, and you are going to come back with full health, but you are going to get rid of any of your collected blood echoes. So you're essentially out for the round. If you played the Hunter's Dream, you do get to pick up your discard. If you did not play the Hunter's Dream, then your discard stays there and you come back with whatever was in your hand. So if you are able to successfully kill a monster, everybody who took blood echoes from that monster in the turn that it dies get to move their reward one space over for each icon down here. And the bosses and the final boss have more than one icon. So like this father here has two different ones, so they both would go up. And you also need to watch for any special ability on these monsters. The executioner says if this escapes, each hunter takes 1 damage for each of their unbanked blood echoes. Wow, so that could kill you right away if you had a bunch of blood echoes that were not banked and this one escapes. So that gives you an extra incentive to try to get that one killed. But it also lets other people see, ooh, maybe this guy over here's got a bunch of collected blood echoes that he has not banked. I'm not going to damage this creature. Maybe it'll survive, and that guy's going to take a bunch of wounds and lose his blood echoes. So a lot of strategy there based on different abilities on the monsters. This one says any weapon card that inflicts damage to this is removed from the game at the end of the round. So you definitely don't want to play your great cards that you got, your upgrades or your really good cards you got in your hand, to kill that one, because you end up losing it. So also on the Hunter's Dream, if you play that Hunter's Dream, you actually get to draw an upgrade card, and that goes into your hand. So once again, this first player token is very strategic when the Hunter's Dream comes out, because the first player gets to take it first and then it goes around, and you do not replace these cards until the very end of this step. And you do get to do this. You still get to pick an upgrade if you were killed and you played the Hunter's Dream in the same turn that you were killed. Also, you reset to 8 health. Now you have a maximum hand size of 7 cards in your hand. So if you ever, once you're getting an upgrade, if that puts you over 7, and it's not just 7 in your hand, it's 7 total cards. So if you got 3 down here and you've got 4 up here and you take an upgrade, you're going to have to discard a card out of the game. Take, whether it's from your hand or from your discard, you're going to have to get rid of one, so you only have 7 cards. Okay, when you're playing your cards, you need to play them so that they're all visible in your discard pile, so that you can look around and see what cards the other players have played already in this round. You are going to pass the first player token once that round is done. Now, when you're playing with 4 players, every monster gets an extra blood token on it, so it's actually 1 stronger. If you're playing with 5 players, it comes out with 2 extra blood tokens. So all monsters are 2 stronger with a 5-player game. So once this monster deck is gone, then you fight the final boss. And the final boss is obviously stronger, so it takes longer to kill it. But then the final boss usually, or I think always, has 1 of every reward on it. And then at the end of the game, once the final boss has been defeated, you are going to total up your collected blood echoes, your banked blood echoes, plus the total here. And then whoever is the highest is the winner. Whoever has the most blood tokens will break a tie if there's a tie. So not that hard of a game, but a lot of strategy with, especially with this first round marker, first turn player marker, because once you're first, that gives you a lot of advantage over somebody who's last on picking upgrade cards, on wounding the monsters and stuff. So you got to watch where that's at. So that is Bloodborne, put out by Cool Mini or Not. Make sure you tune into all of the videos here at Board Game Network. We've got a Facebook page, facebook.com/BoardGameNetwork, and youtube.com/BoardGameNetwork. And our videos also go up on Board Game Geek.